everybody, welcome to my kitchen. Welcome to Karen's Sizzle and Spice. Today I'm going to make one of my very favorite comfort foods. I'm making loaded potato soup. You can put this one on your list of cost-effective, family-friendly meals because it doesn't cost much to make this and it's a good hearty meal. So what you're going to need for this is some potatoes. I'm using 7 red potatoes. You can use Idaho if you like. You can use any kind really. I'm going to use 1 large Vidalia onion. I'm going to use a few cloves of garlic. We'll be using a little bit of olive oil. We'll need some chicken broth, some salt and pepper. I'll be using some cheddar cheese in the soup and on top of the soup. We'll need a little bit of flour to thicken that soup up. We're going to use a little sour cream. You can use it on top of the soup and in the soup. Some butter, some green onions, and some bacon. This is one you're going to love. Let's get this going. Now I know some of these ingredients are not so good for your waistline, but you know what? Everybody's got to indulge once in a while, and this is so worth it. You're just going to love it. I wanted to tell you guys that if you see equipment that I'm using in my kitchen that you might want to have for yourself, I put a lot of the links right in the description of this video so you can grab those items if you'd like to. And you know what? I've been cooking for over 40 years and I have tried many things that work for me and many things that don't. So I would only recommend those very best items that you absolutely need in your kitchen. Wait, before we get started, one more thing I need you guys to do for me is to make sure you're subscribed to my channel. If you turn your phone sideways, there's a little red box in the bottom right corner. Just click on it. And if you're on your computer, right underneath my video is a subscribe button. If you could click on that, I'd appreciate it. And if you like my videos, do me a favor and click on share. Share these with your friends. Don't be stingy. You gotta share these recipes. To get these potatoes ready for the soup, all I did was wash them and dry them. I have them in an oven-safe dish. I've got my oven set at 375, and I'm just gonna give each potato a couple of pokes with a fork. What that does is it prevents the potatoes from bursting in the oven, and it helps them to cook quicker. I'm gonna get these in the oven, and I will check them for doneness in about 45 minutes. These potatoes are rather large, so they took 1 hour in the oven. And to check them for perfect doneness, all you need to do is take a toothpick and poke it right in the middle of the potato. And if there's no resistance as you're pushing it in and it doesn't pick up the potato when you're pulling it out, your potatoes are good to go. I'm gonna have to handle these potatoes, so I'm gonna let them cool for a little while right on the stovetop, and we'll be back. Now that these potatoes are cooked through, I'm gonna just cut them in half, and I'm gonna scoop out the inner potato into one bowl, like this. I'm gonna leave a little bit of the potato right on the skin, and then in a separate bowl, I'm gonna cut these pieces into bite-sized pieces, and wait till you see what we do with these. This soup is like heavenly. So I'm gonna put the skins that I'm cutting into bite-sized pieces into a separate bowl. I'm just scooping the inner potato right into this bowl. This takes a few minutes. And then I'm cutting that skin into bite-sized pieces and putting them into a separate bowl. I'm just gonna finish doing this with all 7 potatoes, and I'll be right back. Okay, you can see I'm almost done here. Sometimes if you like cut a circle into the potato, the skin comes out a little bit easier. This is so worth the effort. You guys are gonna love this soup, and it freezes beautifully. I like to make a big pot of it for Eddie and myself, and then I put it in the freezer in 2 portions each. This way I can pop it out anytime and make it for us. Nothing I like better than a bowl of hot soup for lunch in the winter. So you see I'm just taking these skins, cutting them in bite-sized pieces. You will be so happy when you see what I'm gonna do with these potato skins. It's gonna make this incredible topping for the soup like you've never had before. I don't think I've ever had it like this in a restaurant. This is just delicious. You can see I took about 8 pieces of bacon and I cut them into bite-sized pieces. I'm getting all my mise en place ready so that my cooking will go smoothly. I'm chopping up my Vidalia onion. I chop it this way. I go right into the onion a few times this way. I cut across this way. And then when I cut it this way, I've got some nice chopped Vidalia onions here. I'm gonna chop them up a little bit smaller. I'm gonna get my garlic ready to go and I'll be right back. I got my large pot ready by putting it on a medium heat, and when it was good and hot, I put that chopped bacon inside the pot. Careful of the bacon. Likes to spit all over the place. But I'm gonna wait till this bacon is nice and crispy, and then we'll continue on with the next step. Okay, this bacon is rendered down perfectly, and I'm gonna turn the heat off first so I don't burn myself. And I'm gonna transfer these bacon bits to a bowl and put them aside. Using a slotted spoon. Smells wonderful in here. I don't know anybody who doesn't like the smell of bacon, do you? Okay, and that oil in there is really hot, so you don't even need to turn the burner on quite yet. I'm gonna add 4 tablespoons of butter to the pot. You're gonna hear it sizzle. You know I love that sizzle. And maybe I will turn it on a little bit. I'm gonna let that butter melt because this bacon fat is gonna give this potato soup incredible flavor. I'm going to add my onions. And we're gonna let those onions caramelize, which again will give such incredible flavor to the broth in the soup. I think that heaven must smell like bacon and onion cooking on the stovetop, don't you think? We'll be right back once these onions are caramelized. These onions have been caramelizing for a few minutes. They smell wonderful, they look delicious. I'm just giving them a stir. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to put minced garlic in here. I'm putting it through my garlic press here. And you know what, if you like more garlic, less garlic, adjust your recipe accordingly. Remember, you can taste to tweak. Make these recipes your own with whatever changes you want to make. Okay, now that the garlic's in, to thicken up the soup, we're going to add some flour. I'm just stirring in the garlic. And a good rule of thumb, when you're thickening soups or gravies, I used 4 tablespoons of butter. So to counteract that, I am using 4 tablespoons of flour. And then we are gonna end up just giving this a stir. And I'm gonna use a whisk actually. And we're gonna allow this to thicken and to brown a little bit more for a few minutes before we add in the chicken broth and continuing on with this recipe. All right, now that this roux is thickening and you can see it's browner, I'm gonna start to add the chicken broth. And for this pot of soup, I'm using 6 cups of chicken broth. These containers, the cardboard containers that the chicken broth comes in at the store, is so incredibly convenient. I always have these in my pantry. I always have them in the refrigerator ready to go. This one measures 4 cups, so I know I need the whole thing in here because in total, I'm gonna use 6 cups of chicken broth in here. So I'm stirring it while I pour in the broth. Woo! It smells good in here. I can't wait for lunch. And I know Eddie feels the same way. I've got 2 cups left in here. I'm just giving this soup a stir about halfway before it's simmering here. It's getting good and hot. You can see in a Dutch oven, this soup makes a good half a pot here. If you wanted to make double the soup, just double your recipe. You'd have 8 tablespoons of butter with 8 tablespoons of flour, and you'd put in 10 cups of chicken broth, and you'd have an overflowing pot of this deliciousness. I'll be right back when this is simmering. Okay, the soup has started to simmer beautifully. It's the perfect thickness. All I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna add a little salt and pepper, and keep in mind that bacon is rather salty, so don't use too much, just a few good shakes. And I don't know about you, but I love pepper in my soup, so I'm gonna be rather generous with that. Give it a dozen or 15 shakes. And then I'm gonna put all those beautiful potato insides right into the soup here. And here's where you can create your own. For me, I like the soup to be nice and thick and smooth. You can leave the potatoes like that for a nice chunky soup, or like I'm gonna do, you can use an Immersion Blender. These things are pretty indispensable in the kitchen. I use them very often for soups. I'll leave a link for this one in the description of the video. So I'm gonna turn the burner off for now, and I'm just gonna go in here with my Immersion Blender. All right, now that I got most of the lumps out of the soup, I'm gonna add a few more things now. I'm gonna add half of that bacon that I cooked. The rest we're gonna save for the top of the soup. I'm gonna add half the green onion. I cut up about 4 whole green onions. Gonna save the rest for the top of the soup. I'm gonna put in about 2 tablespoons, which equals about 1/2 cup or so of sour cream. I'm gonna whisk that right in. Ugh, this looks so delicious. Then I'm gonna add about 1 cup of cheddar cheese, and I'll save the rest for the top. 1 cup is about half this bag. You'll notice when you buy grated cheese, it tells you how many cups are in there. So if I use about half of this, it's about 1 cup. So I'm gonna let this simmer for a few minutes while I prepare the potato skin topping. Wait till you see this. Okay, the soup has come to a simmer. I'm gonna taste it now just to see if it needs anything. Remember, you should always taste to tweak. I didn't add much salt because the bacon is pretty salty, so I'm gonna see if it needs any. Oh my gosh. You can taste the bacon in there and the potato. It does need salt though, and pepper. You know, you gotta remember, you can always add more seasonings, but you can't take it out. So let me add a little more salt and pepper. All right, now my soup is simmering. All those wonderful flavors are marrying, and I've melted a couple tablespoons of butter in this pan. I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil, a couple tablespoons. This is good and hot now, and I'm just gonna add some of those potato skins. I'm not gonna add them all because I like them extra crispy, And if they sit overnight for a bowl of soup tomorrow, they won't be as crispy. So I go to the trouble of making them crispy every time. There we go. And I'm gonna let these get nice and crunchy and brown, and these are gonna make that soup just extraordinary. I'll be back to show you what these look like when they're done. They'll probably take about 5-6 minutes or so. And then you know what's coming after that. It's our favorite time of the videos. It's tasting time. Eddie, come on in.
Hey, I smell loaded potato soup.
It is making me crazy. It smells so good.
Let's quit talking. Let's get
yeah.
tasting.
Let's spoon this up for you. Oh my gosh, the smell in here. This is the perfect thickness. I'm gonna give you a couple of spoons
Of course it
here.
is.
Oh Lord, dress that up, honey. We've got bacon, sour cream, green onion, cheddar cheese, and those crispy potato skins to die for. Oh, I wish I could invite a few of you over here to share this with us, because it's just incredible. In fact, you're gonna laugh, and I hope you've watched this video till the end, because I'm gonna say something that maybe I wouldn't normally say, but I usually share all these recipes with my daughters. I've even made them both their own recipe book. I've typed up all my recipes, and on this one I told my daughters, this one is orgasmic. You have to try it, because it is. Let's put a couple potatoes on there. They're nice and crispy. Some bacon. Go ahead, try it, honey. Did you put bacon on there?
Yes.
Oh, it went in. Okay. Oh my God. I haven't made this since last winter, so my mouth is just watering for this. Let's try it, huh? Oh my gosh. I have to take another bite. This is in the top 3 of my all-time favorite soups.
Me too.
You guys have got to try this. Maybe I'll invite some of you over sometime and you can share some of this deliciousness with me. So thanks for visiting, and please be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Love you, hon. Mwah.